And today is Friday, March the 12th, 2021. And our calling number is 563-999-3581 and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. Welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. Honored that you're here as we open another chapter in the conversation about why is this happening to me again in first century Aramaic forgiveness. I'm feeling very blessed by the fact that the universe reserved that title for us and that we have this wondrous technology to be able to take this message, this understanding, this practice and this process forward on a global scale. Pretty amazing that literally anybody in the world with an internet connection could be in a conversation with us right now. Pretty sweet. And we're particularly delighted that you're in the conversation as we move forward. These tools, this technology that is literally over 2,000 years old. The brilliance, the insight, the genius that brought it forward into the world is, when I look back at the understanding of the ancient world, for this man, Yeshua, to have the insight, the foresight, and the knowledge to teach people how to clean up the generational patterns of their lives, to clean up the fears, the rages, the guilt, the grief, to create the healing. You know, they call him the great physician, and our world of churchianity kind of presents that idea as he earned his title by some kind of magic religious understanding, some kind of miraculous, unnatural, this is not how the world's supposed to work, but here's somebody who's the exception to the rule and can do things that you can't do. Of course, they have to ignore him when he says, the things I do, you can do in great. You have to ignore that or turn that into some sort of a distorted statement in order to take on this idea that this man was doing something out of harmony with the ordinary. And my offering is he did nothing out of harmony with the ordinary. He knew exactly how physiology works. He knew exactly how genetics worked. He knew exactly how physiology and the unconscious mind works. He knew the world of psychology. And what he did, he taught to people. Now, if you go to most circles where you listen to those who purport to speak his teachings today, if he were to sit in those circles and listen to what people are saying, for the most part, he would say, that's all Greek to me. Because it is. If you look, excuse me, you look at the debate that goes on still today over were the scriptures written in Aramaic or were they written in Greek? The Greek scholar, the whole world of Greek scholarship and Greek Christianity says, no, it's ours. He was ours. We wrote it down. We're the ones who knew. Well, if you know any Semitic peoples, think of anybody you know today, how well do you suppose they'd go along with, oh, dear Greeks, we don't know how to write. You write it down for us. And then, how accurate with the worldview. You look at the Greek worldview. You look at the Greek worldview of a creator, and you have this pantheon of gods that rape their own mothers, that kill their own children, that want to own and destroy lives. And then, and want to torture people. And then you look at a worldview that comes from this Aramaic mind of Yeshua, who doesn't speak about that pantheon or the vicious, violent group of pretty distasteful dudes and dudettes. You listen to him, and he has a very intimate greeting for the Creator. He calls him, her, that unknowable. Our, you'll notice the pronoun is our, not my. And the Greeks will tell you there's an exclusive club. You can't get in. There's one begotten Son, and that's it. Go to the Aramaic, and you hear that the words describe the first begotten. And he speaks of intimately our Father, whose good pleasure it is to give us the kingdom, who gave us a mind, a sound mind based in love. Find me a Greek god that goes along with that one. Find me a churchianity that doesn't preach about hell and hellfire and you're going to be punished because God is really peeved at you. Guess what? That's total Greek baloney. There's not one scintilla of punishment, resentment, or that anger, anguished Greek mythological figure in Yeshua's Creator Father. And we're told that the movement toward living as we're designed to live includes living as and in relationship with love. Show me the Greek God that's going to tell you about living as love. So we're entering into a conversation about a man's teachings who, while he produced the miraculous, what people call the miraculous, you'll notice that where those miracles occurred, he always put the action, the activity, and the accomplishment of the miracle into the hands, the mind, and the heart of the person who accomplished it. He didn't stand there and puff his chest out and say, "You see what I did?" He said, "No, it was your action, your faith. You're the one who made the shift." And he taught people physiology and physics, ecology and genetics, and how to shift those things and produce real life changes, relationship changes, physiological changes, mental, emotional, spiritual changes in their lives. And we're here working with the first century Aramaic text, working and back in the 1970s, there were 25 translators, 25 of the world's top Aramicists who worked diligently to comprehend the first century meanings of Yeshua's words and take us back to those original meanings. And you find that almost everything is turned backward by the Greeks. Now, I like to tell a story, and I'm sure some of you have heard me tell it before, but it's been a while since I shared it. Imagine that you're the best translator of, Russian into English, English into Russian in the world, and we have somebody who makes contact and wants to come to an intensive at Heartland. And I call you and say, I know how good you are at translating. I know you've got an extra room in the house. Your son just went off to college, and this person wants to come and do an intensive with us, and he doesn't speak English. He needs a place to stay. Would you host him? And you're just delighted to. I'd be honored to do that. And we go through the workshops. We get to hang out with this person. Very sweet man. We get to be very connected, get into a really nice space with him. And as you're getting ready to take him back to the airport, I said, "Gee, would you mind telling him, I really want him to know how much I appreciate him, that I think that he is just so cool." And you turn to him in your best Russian and you tell him that Michael thinks you've got a low body temperature. You translated my words perfectly, but you didn't say a word about what I meant. There is so much, so much of what the Greeks put in Yeshua's mouth. And you'll notice while they're telling us that they wrote it down first, there's one particular passage right around the crucifixion scene. Even in the Greek translations, they say, oh, we left this one in the original Aramaic. But the original is Greek. But we left this one in the original Aramaic. There's just so much silliness around it. But the point I want to make is that this man understood how we functioned and gave us a pathway. And the man and the pathway are one. An Aramaic idiom. When Yeshua says, I and my Father are one. That's an idiom that means, and he says that, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. If you had an appointment with me this afternoon, and it turned out that I couldn't make it, and I sent Michael J., my son, you would go back home and say to your spouse, oh, I had a meeting with Michael Ryce today. Because my son and I are one. A man and his teachings are one. When Yeshua says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, remember, put it in context. He says, you could deny me. That's okay. Don't deny the one who sent me. So it's not about his big I. It's not about his ego. The Greeks will so powerfully proclaim. He says, I and my Father are one. I am the way, the truth, and the life. In other words, and you'll listen to him, he says, I've given you the words. Given you, what more do you want? I've given you the words. Now you have to do the work. And when he said that to people, half of his audience got up and left and said, quote, too hard a saying. God, you mean you want me to go in and learn how to decode the content of my genes? You want me to face my hate, my fear, my rage, my grief, my unresolved generational traumas? You want me to stop taking advantage in my life of this, that, or the next thing? You want me to come into integrity with love? Too hard a saying. I'm out of here. I'm going to go make up an easy theology where we can just call on your name and everything's going to be cool. I don't want to have to do that work. And so those who think that all you have to do is call a magic name, watch them. Look at the generational trauma. Look at the power person dynamics in their lives, and look how decade after decade after decade after decade, even unto death, they experience the traumas of their generations and the hates and the fears and the griefs and the rages and the pains and the separations because they don't have the tools that the first century Aramaic Yeshua taught them about their physiology, about their psychology, about their own unconscious minds, about their genetics. The man was a pragmatist. He knew exactly how to open a space for a whole shift in this energetic field that we call life and to produce absolutely awesome healing. And the healing that he produced, you can produce. And we're here to continue our exploration of what he taught, to continue our understanding, to bring it to fruition. You'll remember they said in the ancient scriptures, take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues in life. Now, to listen to most Greek preachings, you would hear them not saying take care of the heart, but they'd say, oh, well, just forgive them. Because, of course, the problem is them. You're the innocent victim, so forgive them. Yeshua would never give you such a piece of advice. He'd say, you must forgive. The word forgive in Aramaic means remove. From your heart, the word heart in Aramaic means unconscious, the wrongs of your brother. In other words, if your mind creates a perceptual construct that leaves you in pain, That perceptual construct in your mind that you pretend is a picture of your brother is from your own heart, your own unconscious. Your job is to remove it. And removal of that in the first century Aramaic context of Yeshua's actual miraculous, miracle-producing teachings was the removal of those energetic patterns. And we've gone so far away from that the whole Greek world is still talking about forgiveness as forgive them, forgive yourself, let somebody off the hook if there's pain moving inside of you. And I say Yeshua never, ever gave such a command. He said, go into your own heart, remove what never belonged there, that which you projected into your brain's image of your brother. And when you do, your diseases will disappear. And the skill with which his teachings were turned backward to leave people in this state of separation from love is just mind-boggling. And so I'm going to jump into the reading that we're doing. We're up to page 46 in the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, if you're following along with it. If you don't have a copy of the book, it's out of print, but you can go way back 25 years ago, or spread, I don't even remember how many tens of thousands of copies around the country and around the world. And so you can still find it 25 years later on Amazon, usually for a couple bucks. eBay's usually got a few copies. And or you can go to our website, download for free. And in this particular chapter, on one page 46, what is projection externalization? This is exactly the issue that we're talking about with this character, Richard. So I've been offering definitions to this character, Richard, and to recognize that if we live in denial, then we're stuck with the underlying energetic patterns that create our pain. But in denial, we generate meanings that convince us that somebody else is the problem and is the reason. And it's one that needs to be punished, the one that needs to be left behind, the one that you never want to speak to again because they're the problem in your life. That's why you're so upset that on that phone call you had to hang the phone up. It's because of them. Nothing to do with you. Liar, liar, pants on fire. How long can we lie to ourselves? How long can we keep carrying that? But what happens when we stay in this state of denial is we have to live in the meanings our mind gives to what happens in our world. And we forget that the meanings our mind gives always tells us more about what's in our mind than the world we think we're looking at. So I'm going on with that conversation with this character, Richard, in the book. And I offer the thought, it's interesting to note that we project and externalize our internal images to avoid pain, and by doing so, lock inside ourselves the very thing we're attempting to avoid. This is a good definition of insanity. I'm going to read that again because it's such a key thought. It's actually not one of the key thoughts in the book, but it's such a key thought. It's interesting to note that we project and externalize our internal images to avoid pain, and by doing so, lock inside ourselves the very thing we're attempting to avoid. In other words, we guarantee that we get to play the why is this happening to me again game until I learn to uncover, collapse into that underlying dynamic and remove it from my heart, my unconscious, take care of the heart, take care of the unconscious. Until I clean that out, I'm going to keep living in the why is this happening to me again experience. And then we have a key thought. Projection results from the belief that someone else is responsible for my thoughts, my feelings, my reality, and the output of my mind. Have you ever said to somebody, you make me so mad? Boy, that really disturbed me. Oh, they upset me so much. You really have a problem. You ever say that to somebody? Well, my question for you is, if they're the one with the problem, why are you the one with the pain? I have an answer. The reason you're the one with the pain is because you're the one with the problem. But the mind is so skillful at building these pictures that convince us that the problem's out there. And until we collapse those projected images from our own brain cell structure, we will literally construct a visual world that testifies to the truth of our mind's lie, because that's what the mind does. And its ability to deceive is unlimited. That's why I guarantee you that there's one true fact that is always verifiable when you're in pain. And that fact is that you're the one who was there. 87 different times with 42 different people, and you're the only one that was there every time. And of course, I'm saying that to myself. 87 different times with 42 different people, and I'm the only one that was there every time. My perceptual constructs are about me. When I pretend that I'm justified from withdrawing from you because you're the one with the problem, I just hid on the next deepest level of my own mind what it is that is unbearable for me to face. And usually what's unbearable is there's a power person dynamic involved. And for some people, they just have to keep their parents in such a place of esteem. Oh, no, I never had any power person issues. My parents were so wonderful. Right. I believe you. Millions wouldn't, but me, I believe. And of course, I say that tongue in cheek. But the truth is, if I'm in pain and upset, if I'm in disturbance over something, I have a problem. Now, I may be right that you have a problem too. But guess what? Your problem's none of my business if I'm in pain. The only problem I have is my problem. And so that's our treatise on denial, dissociation, projection, externalization for today. And, if you want to pick up a copy of the book, or if you want to download it free from our website, you just go to whyagain.org. I look at this today. I haven't read my own book in 25 years. But I look at this and I look at how some of the concepts are laid out, and it's like, wow, did I really know that back then? I mean, I wrote it down. I must have, but did I really comprehend that? And then I realized that the brain cells I had for it back then were certainly much different than the way I view it now. There are definitely some changes that I would make to update and upgrade, but the basic principles that are there are just so amazingly gifted to us by that first century Aramaic teacher, Yeshua. It's amazing. And again, remember that the word heart means the unconscious. When this man, Yeshua, says, you must forgive from your heart, he's not talking about, oh, be sincere in your forgiveness, forgive from your heart. He's saying, you must go into that data bank that we call your unconscious mind, and you must remove the energetic dynamics that cause you pain, and that when they're resonated, create pictures in your mind of somebody else's problem, having the problem. And the mind is such a trickster. And the world is so convincing in its, pointing the finger at somebody else. We're here to keep coming back and saying, no, the finger pointing has to come back here. Oh, Michael, does that mean I'm to blame? No, I didn't say a word about you being to blame. I just said you're responsible. And when you realize that you're responsible, then by accepting that responsibility, guess what happens? You get to see the part of your mind that you've been hiding from yourself. And guess what happens? You get to throw it away. You get to remove it. And when you do that, your pain disappears. That's all. That pretty much ties it up. It's that simple and straightforward. So we're delighted that you're here to be part of the conversation. And Miss Jeanie, let's see, the young lady with the new phone. It's now 1:25, so we've got 35 minutes or so to continue this conversation.
And we do have a hand up.
Oh, great. Let's say hello. Awesome.
Area code 828, you're on the air.
Hello, hello, this is Magda.
Hi there, Miss Magdalena. Welcome, young lady.
2 days in a row. How about that?
Hey, we're blessed. Wow. How do we rate?
Say again, please.
I said, how do we rate? We're so
wonderful.
blessed we get you 2 days in a row. How cool.
Hey,
actually, 3 days in a row because you were on the... Say again?
I'm blessed every day that I get to listen, so you only get the blessings intermittently when I call.
Well, actually, I do get the blessing you hold me in all the time, too, so you're appreciated.
Good. So I have kind of a little bit of a follow-up question today.
Okay.
You may remember yesterday I was talking about how I was viewing my ego as prompting, inviting, pulling me out of a loving place and back into my old carbon-based memory stuff. So
right.
I got to wondering later, I was having a conversation with someone, and we both are wondering, is there a difference between the ego and the carbon-based memory? I have been kind of using them interchangeably, and it seems to me that that's not possibly true. Can you say something
there'd be
about
a slight. Yeah, for me, there'd be a slight refinement of that, and it's best, I think, understood by an analogy. So I have a computer that has a hard drive in it. Is the hard drive the picture on my screen? No, but it's the source or the container that holds the picture that shows up on my screen, the data that results in the picture on my screen. So are they the same? No. But they're deeply related, let's say. So I can use my carbon-based memory, i.e. my computer and its hard drive, to generate a picture of sweetness and beauty or hate and fear. I can put all of that on the screen. But neither of those is the hard drive or is the computer, though they are the source of what I've called up. So it would be more like the difference between the hardware and the software.
Okay.
And, of course, the whole idea of forgiveness is that we can change the software.
Okay, and the software would be the ego and the hard drive.
Yes, structures.
Yeah.
Including the ego, yes.
Okay, yeah, they are kind of closely related.
Pretty close.
And I realize carbon-based memory has a lot of good stuff to offer us when we
it's meant to be a servant.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. Okay, it's meant to be there to support us.
Good analogy. Thank you. That really, really helps to clarify it. Okay. So
cool.
Very good. Thank you. That's it. Yeah. Blessings. I will get back to my work here as I listen to all the profound teachings that are coming forth. I'm really enjoying your show more and more.
Cool. Well, I feel more and more blessed on a daily basis that the openings that keep growing and keep coming. It's pretty amazing, pretty awesome.
It is indeed. Yeah, and I'm sure you feel that there's this sense that I have of what is the word for it when you get to a certain point and then there are enough people so that everything switches.
Critical mass. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Getting to the point of critical mass. Sure.
Right, and I'm really feeling that more and more, especially with the intensive. That somehow that's so powerful, being online and continuing and being able to go back and be part of it and know that those who are new to it this time around will be part of it too. So it's growing and growing and intensifying that critical mass. Yeah. Okay. Well, I will listen, and I want to wish you a wonderful weekend, you guys.
All right, young lady. Appreciate you. Blessings.
Appreciate you too. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Cool. Well, Miss Jeanie, do we have anybody out there with a... Go for it.
Yes, we do. So it's area code 541. You are on the air.
Yes, this is Celinda.
Well, hey there, young lady. We haven't heard your voice in a while. Welcome. You're loud and clear.
Well, I've been in the desert doing some retreat work.
Uh-huh. Cool.
This is a profound show for me. I mean, this your explanation, synopsis of the whole purpose of Yeshua coming into the world, and it just is encapsulated. It's sort of like a little vitamin pill I'm taking. I also appreciate your response to Magda and I. I'm Magda, and I would like to ask you one more question in reference to that about the hard drive and the software. Would it be a good analogy to say that programmer is linked to the filters? And it's sort of like either we program ourselves for the I am life perspective, perception, or we program ourselves to artificial intelligence, the robot. Does that make any clarity at all?
I think that's a step in the direction. I would take it one more step. And the extra step that I would take is that our task is not necessarily, because it's the track that we're going to be on if we're doing the one aspect that you're speaking of and that we're programming it for, is that we're going to be stuck in figuring it out forever. But rather, my take would be that our task is to prepare the soil to receive what's already in store for us. Not to, to make it ready, to make the space for it. And, that line that I've repeated. Yeah, prepare the soil.
Right, and we're the soil.
Prepare the soil.
We're Adam.
We're the soil.
Adam.
Adamos, the red clay, is the soil, yes.
Yeah, right. And we're the temple or the vessel that our life source is to flow through so that it and we can bless everything, including ourselves. That's very nice, very helpful, and nice is the feeling I have. Because I was talking with Magda the other day about connecting the dots, and in her mind, connecting the dots was the same thing as trying to figure it out. and I was trying to share with her and get some clarity from her, and I'd love it from you and Jeanie, that for me connecting the dots is not figuring it out. For me, it's what you were just talking about. I am to prepare my soil so that I can receive that knowledge, that understanding, that Spirit knows is true because it's of itself. But I'm not running around upset or in survival. There's this sense of space like you talk about, or waiting, because I know it's not my job to figure it out. But it is my job to receive that which Spirit tells me to know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that to me would be it. Take that line of asking the Creator, carve out a space in me for your wholeness to arrive. It's not up to us to create the wholeness. We are created out of the whole cloth already. It's to make a space for the expression of that wholeness, of that whole cloth, from which the Creator cut us.
Right. And the connection for me with the myth of the Garden of Eden is that was what I was created for. I wasn't created to know the 360 because I can't. But I can I can bring myself into harmony with the reigning vision for creation so that I can be in alignment and in order and in balance with it so I can go out and be that I was created to be.
I'm with you. Let's go for it.
Does that sound like I'm at least partially on the target?
I think you're on track. When you realize that the ultimate accomplishment of what we're talking about is so far beyond the ability of words to capture. We're talking about it in a very literal sense, about, around, near, close to, in the outer circle of. But, as Yeshua said, there's so many things I would say to you, but you can't hear them. There's an interesting
because we
passage.
Don't have the language. Yeah.
Right. So there's an interesting passage that the Greeks translate, and this is the one line that the Greeks admit, we left this in the original Aramaic. And we hear the Greeks translating it as, my God, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Why hast thou forsaken me? And in Aramaic, there is no greeting, my God, like some distant, something out there somewhere. But it's much closer to the words, Papa, Papa. For this you set me aside. The word set aside for a special purpose and being abandoned are similar, being left, but set aside for a special purpose is a whole different context than, why hast thou abandoned me? It's like, and the silliness of that translation, when you think about it, the absolute, total, ridiculous silliness of, okay, here we want to proclaim this man is God, and now he's telling God that he's abandoned him. Talk about the ultimate your life is hopeless message. Here's God hanging on a cross, abandoned by God. But you're supposed to believe that somehow you're going to get in the club when even he gets abandoned. It's just the ultimate in Greek silliness. And so when you realize that you are set aside for the fulfillment of what you were created for, that special purpose. And to me, again, this whole body of work is about preparing the soil to bring that to fruition, to bring that into expression.
Thank you, Michael, because that's what my personal language means when I'm saying I'm connecting the dots. There's just no tension. There's no pressure when I'm connecting the dots. When I'm trying to figure it out, I don't even breathe.
You say you don't even what? I didn't hear the word.
Breathe. I don't even breathe. When I'm figuring it out,
well, I would suggest you start
me
breathing
breathe.
there. Yeah, I would suggest you breathe. Yeah. Because if
Right,
you're not breathing, you just cut yourself off from it.
Right. I've just entered into figuring out. I've gone over the line from connecting the dots for me, which is bringing me into wholeness. Yeah. I love what you're saying. In fact, I'm going to put this day's program that you're giving in the very front of my enlightenment book so that I can return to it again and again. Thank you so much. And blessings to you and Jeanie and everybody listening to the show, and Magda for being a very precious support person.
All right. Well, you have a blessed one, young lady.
And you, sir.
All right. Lots of love and blessings. Take care. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you. What fun. So what's on your mind? How can we support you if you're out there in listener land? If you're on one of those stations where we
minutes.
Well, let's go for it. And if you're on one of those stations where you can't...
we have 18 minutes.
Right. So if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you on our control panel and you want to have a conversation, all you have to do is dial the call-in number on your phone, 563-999-3581. You'll be listening to the show live. And then if you have a question for us, push 1, and we'll be having a conversation. So touch 1. How can we support you? What's on your mind? 563-999-3581. And I can only imagine there have to be 1,000 questions out there. And so if you ask your question, if you have a comment for us, if you have something to add to the conversation, we would love to hear your sweet voice and or if there's something you need support with, then please push 1. Let's have a conversation. We've touched into some pretty deep level ideas in a short period of time. So it would be nice to have your contribution to take it to the next level. So how can we support you?
Well, there's no hand up. However, the conversation towards the end of Dr. Tim's show, they were talking about, actually Dr. Tim used the example you've given before about where you reached an awakening point and you were just like, I just could stay here, and you were given the message that you could, but your body would burn up, that you weren't ready for it yet. And I know the last week we've done so much process work that, I feel like I'm kind of half in and half out of this world. But I can understand, that not being ready and that there's still things to do here and that you have to be functional. So can you address that?
Well, a lot of times we're prepared to be functional for the world's purposes because the world has a use for us. What comes to mind, there's an interesting line if you've seen the movie of Gods and Generals. It was done by Turner Broadcasting, and I understand Ted Turner himself had a lot to do with its production. And as I understand it, Ted Turner is very much a Civil War buff, and things had to be accurate and on track. And there's a passage or a section in there where, and I don't remember who it was, I think it might have been Jackson talking to Lee or Jackson talking to one of his generals, or in any event, whatever the conversation was, And, of course, we've been told all kinds of things that the Civil War was about. I mean, as if there could possibly be such a thing as a civil war. Talk about an oxymoron. But we're told it was about slavery and all kinds of things. But there's one line that's delivered in there, and what he says is, if the North wins this war, then our country will belong to commerce and the bankers. And in the context of your thought, Jeanie, explaining that, why I put that in there is, and, we come into the world, I mean, kids go to this place to be brainwashed. Sadly, there's very little education in America. The word educate comes from educare, which means to draw out. It does not mean to put in. And what is put in is, here is the skills we want you to have to be a good commercial servant, to be a servant in commerce. And that's a brainwash. That's a total, complete brainwash. The world has a use for you, and you better fulfill it. So, commerce wants you to be of all kinds of earthly use. Do everything necessary to fulfill your commercial role, because then you are commercially viable, valuable, and you're worth $1 to somebody. If you ever get confused about why don't people do good things for people that are suffering, because if they're trapped in that mindset, in that role, the role they've been brainwashed into, then it's all about commerce. And when we talk about the truth of who we are and the truth of education, the word educare means to draw out, bringing out into expression your purpose, your reason for being here, in the Creator's mind, not commerce and the commercial mind. And as you do that, you need a whole different set of skills, and you'll live in a whole different world. And so we're here to help unbrainwash, which the main tool is forgiveness, remove what never belonged, so that there is room within you to bring to what you're really here for. What unique thing, people have this image like, well, there's an Einstein or a Yeshua, but I could never be an Einstein or a Yeshua. Yes, you are. Every one of us is designed for something original, to bring something to this world, but the world diminishes that in order to force people into devaluing themselves enough that they'll sell out their souls for $1. And so while you're busy, making a living in commerce, make room, tithe. And most people think tithing has to do with giving money. It doesn't have to do with giving money. Tithing, I use it in an acronym, TIME, time, intelligence, money, and energy. Put whatever your commercial endeavors are, whatever you have to do to pay the bills, take at least 10% of your time and put it into developing your spiritual beingness as the expression of your real purpose. Recapture yourself from commerce. You take back your life. You take the slaves out of Egypt. You go out from her. And you get to be about your Father's business. Whole different game. So that would be my thought on that. Is that heading in the direction you were thinking of, sweetie?
Yes, it is. And we do have 2 hands up. So.
Oh, cool. Let's say hello.
The first one is 610. You're on the air. I think it's Susan.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Yes.
Hey, young
lady.
Welcome.
I have a quick question. Thanks. I wonder how you feel about blocking someone on Facebook. I realize that these are a couple of people that I care a lot about, and I get posts that are frightening to me, and I've done worksheets on them, and I'm thinking of blocking them. Have you ever done that? Do you advise that? Is that okay to do, or am I just in denial and saying they're the ones making me feel this way and I have work to do? Granted, I do, but...
Well, my take is, people oftentimes talk about liberty and the First Amendment, and I have the right to say anything I want to say. Well, you know something? You have the right to say anything you want to say, but not on my radio show. If you want to go off on some tangent, once in a while we've had people over the years that call in and they want to profanity. Oh, you have the right to say that, but not on my radio show. So does that mean I'm going to censor someone who uses profanity? No, I am not going to censor anybody from anything. But I have a standard, and my standard is we're going to do decency and care for each other. And if you want to do something different, go do it. I'm not going to stop you, but you're not doing it on something I sponsor, including my Facebook page. So if I have someone who repeatedly puts out, a lot of this political hate and fear kind of stuff that's being done, yes, I block them. I will usually interact with them a number of times, but if it just keeps coming back to the repeated hatred and vengeance and just, there's so much crazy stuff going on. People are, I've got someone I've been interacting with recently, and they're telling me about how Biden is the Biden that's in the White House isn't the real that we're seeing isn't the real Biden. He's actually already been executed by the military for his crimes, or he's going to be executed soon. It's like, look, I have a standard for me, and that kind of hatred just isn't acceptable. So, bye. That'd be my take.
Yeah.
Now, if I've got disturbance and upset, I can also say thank you for what you've shown me, and I'll do my work. But that doesn't mean I have to put up with you on my doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the world one chooses to live in.
Yeah.
And frankly, for me, I'm finding it really quite refreshing. In fact, I just put a post on Facebook. I'm finding it quite refreshing to get up in the morning and not have to wonder, what kind of rant or rave or viciousness has been done to somebody in the political arena from on high in America. I'm finding it refreshing to get up and really be able to expect that we're going to hear something about decency and moving toward caring for one another and developing a world where children are fed and there's still people who are doing the hate conversation. Oh yeah, well it's social. It's like I'm finding it rather refreshing. But
oh yeah, I am too. That part of it's really really good. I guess it's because I care about these two people a lot.
But if they're ranting in unreasonable ways, you can still continue to care for them, but you can say, I just don't want to do that. This isn't a venue for that for me, so I'm going to just cut the conversation off. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be my take.
Okay. Good.
There's certainly lots of ranting and raving going on. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. Right.
So what else is moving for you?
Well, I couldn't even call in yesterday. Here you were on the phone at the end saying, what can we support you with? How can we help? And I'm thinking, you could help, but I can't press one. I can't. Because I hope it's a healing crisis. This issue of bile in the system and the mind shifters, they've been very productive, but I have felt literally sick to my stomach for 2 days.
Yep.
I'm much better today. And I don't think I've changed. I think I just am accepting that I have a huge phenolon in me, and I'm just observing it. Very critical when I was a little kid, my mother said to me one day, so I must have been critical when I was small too. You're a very critical little girl, aren't you? I've never forgotten how she said it and that she said it. And it's still true. So it's not something I feel very good about. I'm very, very quick to smell a rat. Think I smell a rat, and then I have to do worksheets and look at it. But it's been quite a revelation to see how much of a swamp I have in my gut and how there is so much bile in there. It's been really quite a ride. And
well, I would say congratulations. And my congratulations come from the space of, the fact that you're in enough integrity with yourself to be able to look at those issues and to process through them. I think that's pretty awesome. You say, okay, I'm going to embrace this, and pretty powerful.
I love Byron Katie. She says, love what is. I know, I can't remember his name, but there's another man who wrote a book on loving what is. And she says everything is just as it should be. And I'm thinking, I suppose because it is what it is, it should be this, but I don't want it to stay this way. I want this to really, really move away. The amount of love, what?
I was just going to say, and the amount of work that it takes to process through, if you've recognized that as a factor in your life, I suspect you could probably go back in your genetics and trace it right down to the last genetic piece of history that you can find. And how wonderful that you've got the awareness to do that and are willing to do the work to move through it. I think that's pretty sweet.
I hope so. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're causing memories to be swelled up just saying those things. Yeah. Thanks.
It's a good thing. And I'm with you, and I hold the space.
Thanks.
Well, anything else on your mind?
No, that'll do it for the moment. Thanks.
Okay. Well, then you have an awesome, blessed day. And give that young man, Tim, a hug for us, and maybe ask him to give you a hug back in support of just processing through this layer that you're uncovering. That's pretty awesome. And we invite everybody to have the best year yet of your eternal life. It is an awesome gift to give the world, and we're here to join you taking that forward. Blessing. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I choose to live more consciously, evolving continuously.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce and myself, Jeanie Ryce, and Dr. Tim Hayes and Michelle Pichet, as we present the first century Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. We are here for 2 hours every Monday through Friday from 12 noon to 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Mind Shifters Radio. For more information on Aramaic forgiveness, please visit www.whyagain.org. That's www.whyagain.org.